Hi, in this video we're going to look at the one of the other new features available within SQL Server, and that's basically the ability to go ahead and work with extended events. Now, extended events have always been a part of SQL Server since SQL Server 2005. However, access to the extended events and how to be able to actually work with them has been pretty much limited until now. With SQL 2012, Microsoft has provided the DBA with an actual user interface from which he can go ahead and work with extended events. The extended event user interface is found under Management tab, as you can see here, under the subcategory Extended Events. Now, extended events are the most powerful basic layer from which data can be gathered inside SQL Server. And what this means is that pretty much everything else that you see in terms of being able to view the data basically gets its information from some of the underlying extended events. Therefore, if you're looking for details about what's going on in your server, there's really no better place than extended events to actually collect that information. Now, having said that, because of the nature of the details coming out of extended events, sometimes it can be daunting trying to understand exactly what information is being gathered, as well as how to analyze that data and work with it. This has been the challenge with previous versions of SQL Server, and that's why most DBAs even today are not really familiar with extended events and how to use them. With this particular new feature available in SQL 2012, I think that particularly that disadvantage of not being able to understand extended events have been greatly reduced, because now this simple interface allows the DBA to actually work directly with the extended events. So let's go ahead and see how to configure the extended event. Now, as you can see, there are some basic extended events that are always collected by default, and if you want, there are some templates also available. However, if you're looking to go ahead and create your own custom extended events, then that's all not custom extended events, but custom monitoring of the extended event, then that's also an option. So let's look at how to go ahead and create the extended event first. Now, the events basically come under sessions, so you'll go ahead and right click and then choose the new session wizard. When you do that, obviously you get the introduction screen. You can just skip that and then say DB monitor, for example. That's just an event that I'm going to go ahead and create now. And basically you have the option of going ahead and running these events on runtime. Basically you schedule it to go ahead and run it, or you can go ahead and configure the extended event to start automatically whenever SQL Server starts up. Now, since this is just a demonstration, I'm not going to go ahead and have it start up at the server startup level, so I'm just going to go ahead and press next. And at this point you have the option here where you can actually go ahead and use one of the event session templates. So you can see there are some basic templates available here, like database log file tracking, connection tracking, activity tracking, and some very basic performance related query execution extended events such as lock block and query execution and wait stats. So let's go ahead and just basically look at some of the wait stat extended events using the template for the moment. You get a brief description of what this particular template is about, and then you press next. And when you do that, you'll see that for the most part, because this is a template, a lot of the information is automatically captured and already identified for you. But say for example you've got the template available and you want to add some additional information of your own, such as log file. So you can search in the event library for details of what exactly is going on, and you have different extended events under different channels and categories. So a channel is basically something that you want to use to quickly identify what's going on. It's a broad category, and then under that you will have different subcategories, which is basically the category itself. So let's go ahead and just clean this up, and I'm gonna go ahead and look for something very specific. So say for example I'm looking for administrative channel, and under administrative channel you can see these are the different categories. So I'm looking for the database, which is here, and you can see that I've got database mirroring state change. This will basically give me an idea about if my database mirroring is changing or not. In addition to this, let's see if there's something else that I can use, something that's well, errors is obviously something that you can use, but let's look at IO. and under IO you can see that I've got log file growth and log file shrink. So I'm going to go ahead and add these as well, just so that I can keep track of my log file usage. So I go ahead and press next. Now at this point I've identified the different events that I need to capture. So you can see that by clicking the event you get the details of exactly what information will be available as part of this particular event. For example, by clicking database log file size changed, I get the count as well as the database ID. So it's just something that's very useful from being able to keep track of what's going on in the database level. So IO sync level, you can see there is a different set of event fields that will be captured. Obviously all information is not available for each and every event, so depending on the event you select you get some bits of information and in others you don't. So go ahead, press next, and at this point you're actually seeing something similar to the different columns available inside Profiler. Now the idea is that again the extended event behaves similar to Profiler, where you have the event and then you have the column, which is the additional metadata that's being captured. In this particular scenario, as the template has already identified, you've got database ID, the client application name, the query hash, and query plan, and session ID. In addition to this, say for example, I also want to go ahead and capture the username, and let's go ahead and add something else as well, like if it's a system, or maybe I want to see the entire database name as it is. So go ahead and check the additional metadata that you want to capture and then press next. At this point you'll see that you've got an option to go ahead and configure filters. The idea with filters is that again the extended event captures a lot of information, so you need to go ahead and filter it based on what kind of information you're looking for. Otherwise the volume of data that's being captured might be significant and might not really help you serve any purpose if you're not able to analyze the data the way you want it. So again, let's go ahead and just select one of the additional events that I've added here. You can see there are already some filters that are being defined, so completed and wait info, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and choose log file growth, and under log file growth you can see that there's basically some information here. I'm going to go ahead and filter for a specific database name, so that's going to be MathWorks, and then I press next. So you can use the filters here to go ahead and customize or basically filter just like how you would do inside Profiler. That's pretty much the idea here, but obviously this is much more powerful because it allows you to filter at a very granular level on a variety of extended events. Obviously the next thing is to go ahead and store this information somewhere that I can go ahead and reuse it or look at it. So again, just like how in Profiler you would go ahead and specify a file name to store the trace file information, you have a .extended event file that you can go ahead and create here. Pretty much the option similar to what you've been seeing already, so I'll just go ahead and leave this as it is. Or you can also go ahead and choose work with only most recent data, in which case it's not really going to go ahead and show you much information. So for this purposes I'm going to save this file inside this particular folder. So let me just go ahead and create one. Yeah. And again I've got a 1 GB file. So a summary of what's going on here listed, so that's pretty much just so you know what kind of options you've configured at the moment, and then you press finish. I also want to go ahead and start the session immediately and then watch live data as it's being captured, just so that I know what's going on. And at this point my particular session info is being captured and it's already up and running. So you have DB monitor here, and you can see that it's capturing pretty much information that I had already mentioned. So you can see MathWorks database is what's being captured at the moment. In order to speed things up a bit, I've already opened up a query window and I've typed in a transaction for selecting some data, and I've got another transaction which is also fetching the data, and as a result of it you'll see that I'm capturing wait info, which is one of the extended events that I have configured as part of DB monitor. So this is one of the ways that you want to go ahead and use extended events to capture information out of SQL Server and work with them. If you're interested, there's another thing that you want to do with the extended events, which is basically if I go ahead and stop the session here at this moment, I can go ahead and then open up the extended events. You can see there's a merged extended event file. At this point I don't really have more than one, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this, then press OK. And as soon as I do that, you'll see that it's collected the information from my extended event, and it's got a lot of events being captured, which is one of the reasons why it's important that we filter the data. You can see that the extended event is capturing the information quite frequently in regular events. And once it's actually done loading all the files, you have the option of going ahead and then grouping the data or aggregating the data, especially if you've got signal duration or some basic counter values that you want to use. At that point you can aggregate the data. Say for example, if I choose grouping at this moment and then group by the name of the event, you'll see that it summarizes what's going on inside this particular extended event file. Just give it a moment again, and we've captured quite a lot of information, so it's going to take some time. And as you can see here, we've got the information from the extended event summarized, and as you can see, I've got 81,000 extended event information for just wait info. And again, you got some other information regarding RPC starting, SQL statement starting, etc. This is basically queries that have been executed on Madworks database. So as you can see, extended events are quite powerful, and as you can also see, it captures quite a lot of information within a relatively short span of time. But for most purposes, I still see that most DBAs would continue to use Profiler just because it's something that they're familiar with and does the job good enough to not really have to worry about using extended events. However, at some point, if you do feel that the information that you get out of Profiler is not sufficient, then extended events is the way to go. So with this, we've actually covered the video on extended event and how to configure it, and like I've mentioned, it's always been a part of SQL Server, but with this new interface it looks like extended events would be much more accessible, and DBAs who are using it can use it to create a lot of administrative automated tasks that they're going to use to kind of manage multiple servers fairly easily. With that, we've covered this particular video on extended events. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.